The community mediation program in Baltimore, the idea behind community mediation is that mediation is integrated into the community, and the community is integrated into mediation. That we talk about it as mediation for, of, and by the people. And so we really started in a very sort of a grassroots way. This center that we're sitting in right now, on 3333 Greenmount Avenue, it was a community center, and I had just recently moved to Baltimore. I had done some work in prisons with conflict resolution, and I had done work in schools. I had been in LA. I had done work in hospitals with gang members who had been paralyzed through gang violence. And so I'd done a lot of sort of violence prevention, conflict resolution work. And when I got to Baltimore, I thought, oh, I bet there's a mediation program here that I could get connected with. And it turned out that there wasn't one. And so this community center was here, and I thought, well, maybe we could start something sort of out of that community center. Maybe we could do some conflict resolution work for this neighborhood. And so I connected with people who I had been trained by and had been doing some work with, and they said that they would come and help do a training. And then I just started going to community association meetings and putting up flyers, literally just saying to people, like, this is the basic idea of mediation. It's this conflict resolution process where people speak for themselves and make their own decisions, and do you want to be part of it? And out of that sort of just informal, some formal outreach, I think we had 12 people in that first training, and we held it right here in this room. And then after it was done, people started saying, well, what do we do now? Like, what's the program? And I said, well, we're the program, so what do we want to do? And it really started in that way of 12 people from the community who just kind of cared about the idea of resolving conflict differently, getting trained. And once we had this skill set, we started the conversation of, like, who needs this skill set? And the conclusion, of course, was like, well, everybody. So out of that group of 12 people started doing outreach. We started developing policies. We started talking about how do we make sure, like right now we just finished the training, we're feeling pretty skilled, but how do we make sure we keep growing in our skills as mediators? And we wrote volunteer policies, and we started writing grants, and we started identifying funds for a staff person, and started doing the grassroots outreach. We connected, early on, we tried working on connecting with the police. So there's this question of, we want people to come directly and use the service on their own. And so certainly all the grassroots outreach is towards helping people make that choice. But we also want to know, like, well, where do people go when they have conflict? And we need to get to those places. So people call the police when they have conflict. So let's get them, setting them our way instead of arresting them and sort of moving in that direction. And people go to court, so let's start working with the courts. And people go to their ministers, and so let's start working with the churches. And people go to their community association leaders and their tenant association leaders. So let's work in, the tenant associations. And early on, we worked with all the public housing facilities and the tenant associations. And so really it just kind of built from those folks. And very quickly, as we started talking to the police or the tenant association or the ministers, somebody would be like, well, across town, originally we were just going to serve this community, this sort of Waverly, Barclay, sort of this area. And then it was like, well, across town, in Southwest District, the police really want something like this. Could you help them out? And, there's this church in southern part of Baltimore, and that minister's really interested in working on these things, and could you help them out? And so pretty soon we were like, well, I guess we could serve the whole city. And so of course part of what that meant was, again, because our mediators should represent the communities that we're serving, it meant that we needed to do additional training and do that training all around the city. So we really had people not only from all walks of life, which is important, but also from all parts of the city, so that we were, again, bringing mediation into those communities, not from the outside, but from the inside. That piece of it of, the community is in the mediation program, and the mediation program is in the community. That goes both ways. So we started moving our trainings around town and doing them all over the city to make sure that we were recruiting people from all over the city and training them to be mediators. And the partnership building just sort of grew from there. So that's sort of the brief first 3 years of community mediation, Baltimore.